the Lander County Jane Doe, identified as Judy Mananeras. The case started on February 25, 1980, and this was when two hitchhikers were traveling through Nevada. At this time, they were about 13 miles east of Battle Mountain, which is in an area located in Lander County, Nevada, known as Hilltop Canyon. This was an area that was once used for mining. It was there that they found remains scattered. The examination determined she was most likely of Native American descent, with long, dark hair. She was probably around 25 to 40. They didn't release her COD, but they believed it was clear the scattering of her remains was intentional. I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it. The dances around the YouTube rules, and that's always a little bit of a challenge, but let's just say it was done the only way someone could be scattered in multiple places right after someone passed away, using a sharp object to separate them from each other. It doesn't say how long she'd been there before she was found, but we know it could not have been more than a year. There were signs someone had hit her in the head, though no one knows for sure if it happened pre or post-mortem. They noted that some sort of past trauma resulted in a problem with her hip, and they believe she walked in a distinct way. Her torso has never been located. They knew that she had a handcrafted sterling silver ring and a coral red triangular stone in a size 7.5 to 8. In 2010, her case was entered into NamUs, which is the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. Even though they had dental records they were trying to compare to others, it didn't work. Nothing happened. There was no movement on the case. Thankfully, DNA was extracted and successfully processed, despite being out in the elements for a long time. This again is thanks to Othram Labs, like so many before. So now we know that Judy was just 19 when she disappeared from Salt Lake City, which is 327 miles or 526 kilometers away from home. I wish I knew more about her life and who she was. I will try again when I go to finalize this segment. It will appear as an editor's note if I found anything additional. They need someone who knows about her to come forward and give information. Even the most simple fact might make all of the difference. Judy went unidentified for 33 years. Had she lived the life that she deserved, she would be 52 years old today. The Galveston John Doe, identified as Mbwambo. In May of 2020, a young black man was found on the beach near Kahala Drive in Galveston, Texas. And this was determined an accidental drowning. And sadly, he was found on Mother's Day. Louise Gibson, who was a renowned artist, recreated his image. This reminds me of the ones that are coming out of Georgia. It's a great touch for these recreations. In different circumstances, they would be frameable wall art. They're just beautiful. They believed him to be between 18 and 35 and around 5 feet 7 and a weight of about 150 pounds. That would mean 170 centimeters tall and 68 kilograms. He was wearing flip-flops around his wrists, which the authorities thought meant he was possibly too far from shore and he was trying to use them to help as a flotation device. Despite the recreation, the brick wall was still there, and they strongly suspected he was not from the U.S., and it turns out he was not. Initial DNA suggested that he might have been from Kenya or Somalia. Eventually, Othram Labs would use genetic genealogy to identify him. I almost didn't cover this case since it was so recent, but there's one element that got to me, and that's that Calvin was just 24 years old, and he was here as an exchange student from Tanzania. I can't imagine losing your child in another country. It appears that Calvin was pretty well traveled. I found this account on Twitter that seems to have been his, and it lists his home then as being in London. It appears he was posting in Swahili, so I'm pretty sure this was his account. It has to be hard enough to have a child on the other side of the world, but even more so to then lose your child to that country. As a parent, I can't even imagine, so hopefully the knowledge is a step closer to finding peace for his parents. Calvin went unidentified for 2 years and 11 months. Had he lived, he would be just 26 years old today. If you are at all interested in helping crowdfund John and Jane Doe cases, I've provided links to the DNA Doe Project and DNA Solves below. Both of those allow you to pick the cases you help fund. The Broward County Jane Doe, 1998, identified as Eileen Truppner. This one starts on December 19, 1998, in Broward County, Florida. A boater was out for the weekend and was near a boat ramp off US 27 when he found a person who had been there for a few days. She was 35 to 60, white or Hispanic, and had brown hair with gray streaks. She was wearing a long-sleeved pullover sweatshirt. On it was written "Sport Team Sport" and "Members Only," and this included red tennis shoes and red stone earrings. She was around 5'6" or 168 centimeters. She weighed 116 pounds or 53 kilograms. Other than being able to tell that she had recent surgery to remove a cyst, there was little known other than the COD was asphyxiation. They do not believe she was subjected to SA. Over the years, Broward County released numerous artistic recreations of what she may have looked like, as well as photos of the clothing that she was wearing when she was found. Unfortunately, no one recognized her, and she apparently didn't match any missing persons report. This is a little shocking because it then comes out later that her family was actively looking for her since she went missing in August of 1998. I don't have specific information on whether or not she was reported missing, but once her identification was made using DNA, it came out that her family said they'd even paid a private investigator to look. So it seems highly unlikely that a report wasn't placed unless perhaps they were told they couldn't place one. For her family, it had been a nightmare. 41-year-old Eileen Truppner was born in Puerto Rico. She had last been living in Florida. She wasn't someone anyone expected to disappear. She had a loving family and 2 kids. She also had strong friendships. Her family was terrified when she disappeared that something bad had happened to her. They made quick work of hiring someone to find her, and her sister Nancy would say that it never occurred to them that her sister wasn't alive anymore. When the police called, her response to them was, "Did you find her?" saying she believed that she was alive and happy somewhere. It was a crushing thing to happen when that was not what was expected. Had genealogy not led to a family of 3 sisters, one of which was missing, Nancy Truppner would still believe that Eileen was out there and choosing not to contact them. I do personally feel like I have to point out that I wonder if something bad happened to her in those missing 4 months, because there's a 4-month gap. What struck me is she's not overweight, but not overly thin either in the photos that we see, including those taken later in her life. But her weight of 116 pounds when she was found, or 53 kilograms, is pretty thin for someone who is 5'6". By comparison, I am a few inches shorter, and that was my weight in high school. I don't know, I was pretty thin, and then for a lot of us, it's pretty unattainable after having kids. And it also does not appear to be the weight of those pictures. That's just my personal opinion, but there's also lots of reasons why people lose weight, and perhaps she met somebody in that time. So while sometimes substances are the issue, there's lots of reasons that it could have happened, or maybe she was just homeless and had a lack of food. Either way, I feel like I have to point out that the weight does not look right to me. Eileen's sister, Nancy, gave an interview saying that Eileen was outgoing, calm, quiet, and kind. Just a really good person who deserved more than what happened. It's clear that if anyone thought she had the ability or was the kind of person to walk away from her kids and sisters, that no one was speaking out about it. While her sisters believe she was still alive, in a lot of cases, it's kind of self-preservation to believe the best you can. So obviously they need someone to come forward to say what was going on. That 4-month gap was not typical at all. And then the other component of this, of course, is whoever did it. They have 1 person of interest so far, but the police need more to go on. Please come forward if you know anything. I've included the number for Crime Stoppers. Anonymous messages are always helpful. If you don't want to give your name, at least give the information, please. Eileen Truppner went unidentified for 24 years. Had she lived, she would be 65 years old today. Huge thanks for watching all the way to the end, and a big thanks to all of you who consistently like and comment on the videos. Whether you leave a full comment or an emoji, it makes a huge difference. So if you consistently watch my videos, maybe take a moment to subscribe. It's a huge push toward the videos being suggested to new people. The next goal is 20,000. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other.